There's nothing more dangerous than giving your opinion. Everybody won't stop asking me what quest choices to make, so now I'm gonna tell you. You will listen to me, you will have my exact build. My build is better than everybody else's build. Don't be a tank. Bro, I was waiting until I had quest skips. I'm gonna go through all of them. Max HP is better than a few of them, about half of them. I'd choose max HP over, you know, vitality, speed, and not defense. Max mana is a completely useless stat. There's only one quest where you choose it. I'm going to go through every quest choice, and you will remember which choice I make. First, I'm going to actually, before I even choose, I'm going to say the one that everyone keeps asking me. 30 HP versus 8 dex. Choose 8 dex. All right, first one. In dex versus attack, you always choose the bigger number. I'd say dex is about 1.1 times more valuable just because of rounding with math and stuff. So I'd say if it's ever a quest where it's 10 dex versus 11 attack, choose dex, but that's never going to be the case, so just choose the bigger number. This one, dex, obviously. Again, speed versus defense. If you want to be a speedster, sure, but I'm a defense Andy. Max health. I don't value max mana anymore because I'm always full HP, but never max mana. This one, 10 health is worthless, bro. Are you really going to trade 2% DPS for 10 health? If this saves you, go for it, but bigger number, but also speed. Dex is better. Whenever I see Dex, I look at it first. I chose Vitality on day one. Bad choice, attack. The thick of it. This one is difficult, but the quest that's 20 mana versus 10 HP I choose. So of course I'm going to choose the one that's also 5 more max mana. Again, bigger number. Do not choose 5 attack here. If this was 5 Dex versus 5 attack, or 5 Dex versus 8 attack, I would honestly still consider the deck. 3 defense. Of course, this is free, bro. Don't choose speed. Max HP versus speed. If you want to be a speedster, sure. But speed is bad now, okay? Don't do speed. Again, if we consult the chart, Dex is better. And I'll show my stats at the end of this. My stats are already looking good. I mean, look at this. My stats are going to stay on the screen the entire time. But look at these stats. Like, look at this pure DPS god. You know, these look stable. Vitality sucks. The only time you choose Vitality is if you're using a baller, but don't use a baller. That's my pro tip. You're welcome. No brainer, dexterity. Mana regen versus max mana. The only time max mana would ever be better would be in the universe of speedrunning low-level dungeons where you just dump triple spells and you have no time to regen. 99.999% of the time, regen's better. Dex, of course. 7 attack versus 2 defense. This is a hard choice for some people. Again, even if you're a tank, 7 attack is better. 2 defense is not making that big of a difference. 7% DPS. That is. This one, I chose speed sometimes just because it's fast, but honestly, attack is just better. They have reduced the value of speed. Here's the Spire. It doesn't even have a dungeon you run through. The other dungeons, you shouldn't even want to rush. I mean, they're scary. You should just like go in with a team. They made the dungeons too hard. Currently, in this year, after this update, running through dungeons is too dangerous to do it for your team, bro. Just do it as a group. 5 wisdom, of course. Mana regen is more valuable than health regen because mana turns into health with the use of a mushroom bomb. It used to be the case that totems turned 1 mana into 1.3 HP, but now they do the opposite of that. They negative it. So vitality is better than totems, but mushroom bomb exists. It's unnerfed, so use that. 5 attack over 5 speed. This one, again, just always the dex. This one, here's the notorious, bro. This is the thumbnail, genuinely. I have gotten asked 30 HP or 8 dex. Think about it like this, right? You have to break the numbers down or you have to raise them up to understand them better. Numbers will confuse you. So think about it like this. Would you choose 60 HP? That's a lot. 16 dexterity, right? Would you choose 15 health or 4 dex? You know, when you crunch the numbers, you think about what you're really losing, okay? It's always dex, please. Please, I beg. Again, vitality's garbage. 6 speed is great. If you were doing a baller build, this is one of the cases where it's great that vitality is versus speed because it's like the equivalent to attack versus speed. But for everybody else, speed. This one's one of those choices where if you chose defense, I wouldn't make fun of you. But 6 dex, again, if you kill a boss faster, it stops hitting you. Same principle. 5 wisdom, mana regen's always better. Of course, 8 attack. What's the other one? 2 defense versus 7 attack. Don't make wrong choices. If you're choosing defense versus attack, here's what you should do. On the 2 quests that are 3 and 2 defense and 8 and 7 attack, choose the 3 defense on the attack one and choose the attack on the defense one. Because then you're getting more bang for your buck. Do not do the opposite. Do not choose, 8 attack here and 2 defense there. Because then you have 8 attack and 2 defense. Choose 3 defense and 7 attack, right? Anyways, attack. If you ever choose vitality here, even if you're a baller build, attack is better in this case. So I don't know what this choice is. The devs are tripping. Another case where if you were a baller, sure, but Wisdom. If you have a weapon that scales with vitality, sure, but wisdom is just better. It's like they make the choices just free. This one, again, is a close one if you care about defense, but think about how much offense you lose. There's been a 5, a 7, and an 8 attack for what adds up to 7 defense. So would you rather have 20 attack or 7 defense? Right? Just keep choosing attack. It adds up really fast. This one is the only one where you choose max mana, other than the ones that are, you know, no-brainers, just because 10 HP is not making that much of a difference. But neither is mana. Neither of these are making much of a difference. This is just a terrible choice. They made all of these stats bad. Again, I've gotten asked this one a lot. Bigger number. Always the bigger number. They're not close enough to be a real choice. Just bigger number. This one is hard because 35 makes you think like, wow. But again, this is the one time when, you know, go defense. Technically, max mana is offense. It is DPS. But this build that I choose, that I go for, it gets me 13 defense. So you gotta choose defense there. And the last one that I have auto-completed, again, 3 defense. That adds you with this. There are more quests that they just added. This one, I choose HP. Same reason, max mana. Your mana seems to never be max. It's always like, if you're using spells a lot, of course. If you're spamming health heals, like I'm bad, bro. I don't know. Max health there. Defense here, again, if your weapon scales with vitality, it is, of course, a damage versus defense. But even then, 8 is not enough. I would still choose 3 defense on any build. This one, no brainer. Once again, when it comes to health, max is better than regen. When it comes to mana, regen is better than max. That's the rule to follow. This one, it's the same as the 5 speed versus 25 health. The numbers are just different. So, of course, health. And this one, the last quest, 3 decks. 1 dex or 10 max mana. You can end up having like 300 max mana, but it will make no difference. You'll get quieted. It'll never regen to full. There's nothing that, you know, regens your mana quickly, so you don't really care about max mana. And that's every quest choice. What that gives you is pretty high offensive stats, decent speed. I'm level 23, so there's a lot of leveling things you get. 10 defense. Of course, that becomes 13 with this. And no vitality. I'm a vitality hater. Vitality is a bad stat. I'm also going to add my ramble about stat choices when it comes to gear, because a lot of people, they don't seem to understand that you should compare armor to each other, not to not wearing armor. Like, you shouldn't look at this as 14 defense and 40 health. You should look at it as 4 more defense than this, but 18 more dex, but 40 less health. You should compare them. When you wear this and this is much better. This is 16 defense and you get 18 dex. You should always go for the offense in your armor, because currently the stats are just better value because they just don't know how to make accessories and balance them correctly. So right now with this, you know, this is 16 defense and 18 dex, gives me these stats. But if I do the reverse, so this is a tanky helmet, this is a tanky accessory, and a offensive armor. But if I wear a tanky armor and offensive accessory, I'm only getting 12 dex and 14 defense, compared to 16 defense and 18 dex. So what would you rather have? You know, you're trading for 40 health, you were trading 2 defense and 6 dex, and, you know, this passive, whatever. Just, it's more about the numbers. Think about that. You know, heavy armor is complete buns. It's a horrible value. Just use leather armor, use a tanky accessory if you're gonna go for that, and you'll be really, really cool. You'll have really good stats. With all that, with these quest choices at level 20 and a coral staff 300 DPS, I'd say it's pretty good, you know? And I'm just gonna show with these quest choices, of course, you wouldn't have all these quests complete at this point, but this is the power you get. You know, some people are weaker than this at level like 60. It's because their quest choices are bad, okay? Coral staff. You could be pretty strong if you just make the right quest choices. You end up having these stats if you have the gear I have. And just, I'm just going to show what a sword does, you know? With 40 defense, like, you don't need to be a tank. I chose offensive options versus the defense. A lot of people, the tank is just mine, like what I choose, but minus the 20 attack for 7 defense. They have the 7 defense instead of the attack. But 1100 DPS. I mean, you can be tanky. You can use a sword. You should make your quest choices glass cannon, because then you can look cool. I mean, look at this. And yes, Icebreaker is from Ice Forest in the tier 5 biome. My Ahi's Reaper, true damage, 600 DPS. Very strong, you know? You can be pretty busted if you make the right quest choices. The reason people make tanks, from what I've heard, is they don't want to die. But I say, make a glass cannon-esque thing and do a lot of damage. Because I have been told by people who are tanks, of course, they minus 20% DPS, which ends up putting their Ahi Reaper like 500 DPS. That is less DPS than me using, let me grab a tier 6 bow, right? This is a tier 6 bow on my build, right? A tank's Ahi Reaper will do like 500 DPS. My bow will do 600. So if you don't want to risk really good items, just don't risk them. Do a lot of damage, make your bad items good items, because a tank makes a good item a bad item. This is Enderbull's spreadsheet. It shows every quest option you can make versus what it is. You know, you see the 2 defense versus 5 speed right here. You know, you see the Power Island victory, the stupid 10 HP versus 2 attack. Of course, choose 2 attack. But what this shows is the theoretical max of each stat from choosing quests. Let's start with defense. That's an important one. 23. Mine's 13. The only place where I don't choose defense was, of course, the attack ones. And there's one more quest. I forget what it is. But what you lose at the cost of this, let's just look, you know. This is defense. Speed, of course, free choice. Here's the mana one. Attack. You don't want to lose that. 8 attack versus 3. You see it, right? In theory, you could pump up all these stats, but what you lose is this. So if you're in your mind like, I'm going to choose all the defense quests and have like 50 defense, you're not. This is what you're going to get. With all the armor, theoretically 66. But of course, wearing that getup is complete garbage. I mean, this shows tier 4 flag, true ice, haunting pendant, 66. That doesn't make a substantial difference, especially when, what are you throwing away? So much damage. You have to use a sword for this, right? Of course, I use the icebreaker switch. But it's a switch. I don't camp it. You can have a ton of speed with quests as well, but you shouldn't, because what are you trading off for that? You know, you're trading defense, you're trading attack here versus speed, attack again. You're trading 5 decks for the speed. You don't want to do it. You want to choose the most efficient stats from each quest, and you don't want to over invest into anything, because there's a point where you are losing so much for a tiny bit more. It's really noticeable in defense. You end up losing like 25% DPS for 10 more defense versus my build, which is a glass cannon, as I call it. But of course, I'm losing nothing to get some defense because I'm trading out like speed and stuff. Mana, of course, you can have insane max mana. 600 in theory, 300 from the quests. You know, with this is max level plus the quests. So anyone can get this. All you need to do is level up and choose the quest choices. But what are you trading, right? You go up, you're trading 50 health, 60 health actually. You're trading some wisdom. You're trading 8 wisdom here too. Like, you lose so much if you overinvest into one thing. So do the stat choices I did. You do not need to be a tank. You do not need to be a glass cannon. You do not need 700 mana. You just need to be balanced. And you will be really strong with every weapon. And how you fix being overinvested into one thing, and how you survive, maybe you see a build that does more damage than you, it's tankier than you. The answer is gear switching. Nothing is stopping you from hitting the numbers on your keyboard, right? If you hit 6, it switches the gear. And immediately your stats change. This is not a game where you should camp an equipment set. You should switch them. Switch your gear. You are allowed. Use a sword when a sword is good. Use a staff when a sword will get you killed. Wisdom switches when you need mana. Speed switches when you're running somewhere. You're welcome. A double legendary is crazy. I should put that in the video.